We built our home under the protection of the traveler. When our enemies attacked, we built a wall that stood for centuries. But now walls mean nothing. This enemy has taken our home, taken our light, and now they threaten our very existence. We're going all in on this almighty. How long before the fleet's combat ready?
Zavala, wait.
If we wait, we die. But if we attack together, we can take back our home, our light, our hope. Or we die trying. Now, I need my fire team. I need Ikora and Cade.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 40 of the video game podcast, PlayStation Pals. Before we get started, I just wanted to make a quick note that we have our March bonus episode in the feed. It has just been published, in which we talk about a show we have not talked at all about on this podcast, and that's HBO's The Last of Us. So if you want to hear our thoughts on episode 9, the series as a whole, and what we believe the future brings for this critically acclaimed show, listen to it. It is in the feed.
Yeah, and Nick says we actually don't sound like amateurs on this one. We actually, sound pretty good and know what we're talking about. So, definitely tune in. You might be pleasantly surprised that you listen to, people who sound like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it is very good. I listened to it and thought it came out really well. So that is in the feed. But who are we? I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by the Ashley to my Leon, John. Now, John, please tell me some good news that you played a video game.
Right off the bat, huh?
Yeah, I need to know.
I did. I got a little bit.
Want to know.
Not a lot. I got about half of my monthly allotment in over the weekend. I got about 2 to 3 hours, so I did get to play some games. I'm excited to talk about them. Nothing new, but I got some, some thoughts on some stuff I've been playing. So.
What was it enough? Did you play enough games?
Oh, no. Was it enough? It's never enough.
Okay, so I want to try something. Okay. I've seen this, so close your eyes.
Okay, all right. Now what?
I like your trepidation. All right. Imagine you're holding a DualSense.
Okay.
You're booting up Elden Ring. You're loading your file. You're becoming the Tarnished. All right. You're wandering Caelid.
Oh, it's so gross. Oh, what's that? Oh God.
You're wielding your blasphemous blade. You're ready to go.
Moonveil Katana, but that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
It looks like a flame chariot's coming up on you. What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I held L2 and then hit R1 because that works for everything.
Well, knowing you probably missed. You're out of practice.
All right. Can I escape this nightmare now?
Is this the same? Does that feel the same?
I don't need to play games anymore, Nick. We have to podcast every day.
It worked in the Last of Us video game. I thought this would be an equivalent for you.
Ellie and I have had probably pretty similar life experiences up to that point in our lives. So, that makes sense. I totally don't have 25 years of comparisons to. I appreciate the effort, though, Nick. I appreciate.
Okay.
I appreciate that you are trying your best to, get me back into the swing of things.
Yeah, I thought maybe we could do this for the next 2 hours, and hopefully you'd feel like you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
But
well, no, in true Elden Ring fashion, I would lose to something, in that 2 hours, and then be no more progressed. But yeah. So yeah, right. I got a little bit in, but
okay,
never enough.
All right. Well, before we get into the show, kind of breaking news, a somber note here is that the actor Lance Reddick has passed away at the age of 60. Best known for The Wire, and is in the most recent John Wick movie. He's been in the entire franchise, but he's had a big video game presence as well. He was Zavala in Destiny, and Silence in the Sony exclusive Horizon franchise. You know, a great character, and I don't like to talk about these pretty like negatively. Like, it is sad that he passed away, but I always like to celebrate what they did. And you know, the whole point of life is that, you know, enhance those around you and imprint experiences on other people. And Lance Reddick did that in spades. I thought, you know, he was the perfect foil for Ashley Birch's Aloy in the Horizon franchise. He did a great job. And, you know, I in fact, one of my criticisms of Forbidden West is he wasn't in it enough. So
yeah, it took too long for him to like kind of really start being a presence. But yeah, I don't think I can put any better than that. You know, one of the best voices in the biz. You know, if you've heard him, you know. Similarly to how we were talking about Ashley Johnson, it's like that's his voice, that's who he is, and so you know, R.I.P. Yeah, kind of a downer, and there's still no word on what happened, right?
No,
like,
this is
just
breaking news.
Kind of a weird, random. They're looking into it thing. So, but it sounds like it was natural though. It doesn't sound like there was foul play or anything like that.
Right. But I imagine, I mean, he'll be in this movie posthumously, and he'll almost certainly be in Burning Shores in some way.
Yeah,
the Horizon DLC, because I'm sure that game is expected in April, and I'm sure his. You know, we talked about in this very show when he was teasing that he was going to do some more mocap for Horizon DLC, and then we got the announcement. So I'm sure that'll be probably his last performance in video games too. So
yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what obviously the production schedule looks like for John Wick 4 and things, but I mean, it could even be his last thing he ever really was in. I don't know. So yeah, kind of a surprising one, man.
Yeah. So. All right, let's move on into the format of the show. This is how it works. John and I both bring 3 things to each episode for a total of 6 things. This can be anything that we want to bring. This can be a video game we're playing or not playing in John's case, a news topic.
Fuck you.
An email to PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com. It's been kind of quiet in our inbox, so if you got some questions, you got some thoughts, please send them again to PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com, and Twitter DMs as well at PSPalsPod. Follow us there if you want to get all the updates on the show. So,
boom.
Let's go, John. What are you bringing first?
Let's talk some extra, Nick. Got our extra and premium games. And this is a meaty one. Like, this is one of those I still am kind of a little taken back how well they're treating us in the extra tier. So just to go through these, make sure everybody gets them added into your libraries, download them, play them. And
they were teased in the state of play, so we knew of 5 of these.
Not all of them, but some of them. So just want to go through these real quick. So biggest game of the bunch. Maybe not super exciting because if you're listening to this show, you've probably played at least one of these, but we're getting the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection, which is a PS5 version of Uncharted 4 and Uncharted The Lost Legacy, the standalone expansion that came out post Uncharted 4. I don't think we need to explain any of those games, but play them if you haven't. Done by Naughty Dog. They've done a little project called The Last of Us as well. Next up, we have one that I'm actually really excited for personally. I got it drafted in my league, so I want it to do well for many reasons, but this is our second launch release in the extra tier. Similarly to Stray from last year, we're getting Chia, which is a very colorful, vibrant, open world, physics-based game that's set in New Caledonia, which is I would be shocked if there was ever a game set in New Caledonia. So kind of gonna get some new sights and things like that, but it takes place on an island, has a really cool mechanic called soul jumping, where you can basically launch into other animals, inanimate objects, to kind of navigate different puzzles and things, and just kind of looks like you can have a lot of fun with movement. So if you are an extra subscriber, brand new game coming for us there. I think it's going to be pretty special. Next up, we have Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. This fits into the Siege realm, I believe. Honestly, I was never that big into these games, but from what I've heard about Extraction, it's not the best of the bunch. It takes, I think it's alien-based, like there's some weird alien angle to it, but from everything I've ever heard about anybody who plays these kind of games, these tactical, squad-based games, just play Siege. But if you're into aliens, if you want to check out Tom Clancy, you got that for you. Next up, to nobody's surprise, as we saw with Deathloop coming into Extra, like the moment that Sony's year exclusivity, ended with that, we got Deathloop into Extra. We're getting the same thing with Ghostwire Tokyo. So I'm actually kind of, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the time to to get through this one, as, this is a running joke of the show. But my buddy Will, friend of the show, he's let me borrow this for a while, and I haven't been able to make it to it. But now I don't have to feel guilty about holding on to his game, at least, so I can give that back to him and hopefully check this out when I can. But basically, it looks like a year later. Basically, looks like horror Doctor Strange. You're doing weird things with your hands and stuff. Then we got a couple of narrative adventures, so if you are one of those people who just likes kind of more storytelling and things like that, we're getting Life is Strange True Colors, which is effectively Life is Strange 3, as well as Life is Strange 2. So I have not played either of these. I did play the first one. I really enjoyed it, but I'm also not the biggest narrative guy. So I can't say I'm excited to really dive into these, but I think the quality is there from everything that people liked about the first one that carried through into these two. All right, we're getting there. Next, we got Immortals: Phoenix Rising coming from Ubisoft. This was this a launch title, or was it launch window? Definitely.
Yeah, it was within a month. It was kind of a technical thing, right? It was technically PS4, PS5,
yeah.
So it wasn't like a big PS5 exclusive, but like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, they were both like in that. Yeah, I bought it like within, I believe, that December.
Yeah.
And it was like $30.
Oh, it's Ubisoft. That's what they do. If, just quick PSA: never buy Ubisoft day one. It will be $20 in 2 weeks. I've heard great things about this one in terms of a game that is the Ubisoft open world formula, but feels a little bit different.
It's their take on Breath of the Wild, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of physics-based puzzles, right?
Yeah. It has probably one of the worst open worlds in video games, though, as far as collectibles, things to do. It's obnoxious. Every inch of the map. But even still, most like Assassin's Creed games, there's a decent space between the things you can do. This is just they're on top of each other,
Dense, too dense.
And I know Nemesis of the show, Jake, who did get the platinum in this, hated every second of it. So
yeah, that's fair. So Nick has ringing endorsements for this one, so check it out.
It is fun. It'll get its hooks in you, but you'll be worn out by the time you're done.
I know humor plays a big part in it as well, which sometimes, humor's a tricky thing, right? If it lands for you, it only benefits you. But if it does not land for you, it's one of the easiest ways to just not like a game or a thing. So check that out. And then we get, this one's kind of strange, but I'm not going to play it, but I'm still kind of curious about it. But Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, it's just a retelling of the Dragon Ball Z story we've all known, the Frieza saga, I do believe, maybe a little bit of the Cell saga, but it was not reviewed very well, low 70s. But if you're a Dragon Ball Z super fan, you might be able to get some fun just flying around as Goku. Next, we got Street Fighter V Champion Edition. Not going to say much about this. Street Fighter V, they're probably just trying to milk every last bit of that game that they can since 6 is coming out in 3 months. So check it out if you're into fighting games. Low-key, one of the most exciting item for a game that's on this list is Untitled Goose Game, which was a indie game that came out a couple years ago where you're basically a goose just trying to annoy people. And
I believe it was the star of Apple Arcade when it launched.
Yeah,
that this was the one that everyone was talking about.
I remember it even got a Game of the Year nod from one of the major publications. I can't remember which, like when it came out, which was kind of weird. But and then just to wrap it up, we got Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. If you're a Final Fantasy junkie, go for it. I believe that's like action, more actiony, more like action RPG type things. Rage 2, coming from, that was Bethesda, right? Yep, Bethesda, yep. Open world first-person shooter.
That was id before Doom.
Yeah, id.
Or no, it wasn't. No, I take that back. Rage was, this is made by...
Obsidian?
Yeah, someone else who took it over for them.
Avalanche.
Yeah, good old Avalanche.
Yep, and not the Avalanche that did... Harry Potter, the Avalanche that did Mad Max.
Yeah.
So, this is one of those games. The gunplay is great. It's done by id. If you like Doom, it feels good, but everything in between sucks. So, And then we got Neo, The World Ends With You. super high anime RPG game. And then lastly, Haven, which is a very indie-looking RPG adventure that I know nothing about. So I'm just going to leave that there. But lots of games, like a huge... I was looking through this list, and I was just like, okay, wow, Uncharted, great. Oh, Life is Strange, cool. And Immortals. And Dragon Ball. It's just like they keep adding all this crazy amount of value into it. So definitely add those to your library if you're interested in any of those. And then lastly here, Nick, we got a very small amount of premium games. I still am very just confused as to why anybody would want the premium tier, unless if you are just a nostalgia junkie. But you got Ridge Racer Type 4 for the PlayStation 1, Ape Academy 2 for the PSP, which is basically Ape Escape but the PSP versions, and then Siphon Filter Dark Mirror for the PSP as well. I don't have anything to say about any of those. Never played any of them. So, but there's our free games for the month.
Yeah, so great list again, and I'm continually finding myself, I'm probably not renewing this anymore. And it's nothing to do with the library of games, it's just, I just don't find the time to play them. Like the current slate of games, especially this year, had this service had come out, early PS5, and probably, that year was also stacked. Every year's stacked with Sony.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I look at these games and maybe I'll touch the Life is Strange games because I never got to them. But man,
no interest in Chia, huh?
We'll see how it reviews.
Yeah,
you're more high on that game than I am for sure.
It's very interesting, man. Because I'm the same way. I am currently not subscribed to PlayStation Plus for the first time in 5 years, if not more. And I was thinking about it. And it's just, like everybody's been clamoring for this. PlayStation needs to combat Game Pass. That's the only way that they can survive. And it's crazy to me that the most diehard people, you and I, are so overwhelmed with just the selection and the time and everything that we're the ones that are going, I don't want to pay for this anymore.
Right.
It's wild to me. And this is the type of thing that Game Pass worries me about, because you can't define it. You can't really put your finger on it until you start to see these weird cascading things that happen. And I just hope it does not affect any type of pipelines, any type of development, in the future. And that will that remains to be seen. We won't know this until years and years and years. It's a very interesting thing to me that you and I now are both unsubscribed not the moment, but less than a year after they started giving us all these free games. It's weird.
I think, and a lot of it is just me personally, because I'm willing to spend money on new games. Like, I want to play Hogwarts Legacy when it reviews. I want to play Resident Evil 4 next week. I want to play Jedi Survivor when it comes out. So it's like I could be the person to just wait, right, and wait for them to be on this service.
You don't know.
Or discounted in some way, But I just, I'm a junkie. I love video games, and I try to stay on top of them. And I don't know, when I see this catalog, I'm just like, it's choice paralysis.
No,
it's
yeah. It's interesting, right? Because if the hardcore is not the demographic, right? Like, we're the ones that we need to play things day one, or we have a good idea of what the things we want, so we're going to see those, and then that's going to take up our time. So who is the demographic? Who is the audience that Sony is really hoping to capture? Because I don't see the audience. Maybe there's a very small portion kind of underneath us that's I really like video games, but I don't have a crazy amount of super fandom for specific franchises, so I just want to play what's available to me. Maybe damn it, I'm sorry. Maybe Jake, and that would be the person that it goes for. But it's who is it, So who I don't know, man.
I think just if you're more casual, you're not concerned with the games that come out, or you're a parent and you just want to bet. I mean, again, it's $100 a year.
Yeah.
And just this month alone you've already made your money back. Just this month alone in games. So
I know, it's I want to play Chia, but okay, if I'm going to spend $30 on it, why would I not just okay, here we go, whatever, it's fine. Right. I just put the 100 down, I got it, and then there's probably going to be at least one more. In fact, they've announced that Meet Your Maker is going to be another one that's going to be, and I don't have really a lot of interest specifically in that game, but then you start to do balance your budget and balance your books and everything. You're okay, well, it would be almost stupid not to, and it's just just an observation, something to keep a pulse on, something to keep looking out for. So
yeah.
But good month nonetheless. Once again.
Yeah, you can't complain. There's something for everybody.
Yep. Yep.
All right, so moving on into a review roundup for Resident Evil. It's a week out. I have been eating good, as they say, by playing all the Resident Evil games up to this point. I played the demo, loved it. Reviewers got their hands on it early, and they love it just as well. This is sitting at a 92 on OpenCritic, one of the best reviewed games of the year, sitting upside there with Hi-Fi Rush and
the best reviewed game.
Is it the best?
So far, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. Getting a 10 from IGN. Just a lot of people just loving everything they changed. I guess, it's about 16 hours long. They streamlined kind of the ending sections, which I kind of don't remember myself. I know it got a little bit of like soldiery.
That's when you're on you go to this island, and then all of a sudden I remember, having just 300 bullets of SMG ammo and being kind of taken aback by how the game shifts. But, seemingly they've kind of balanced that out a little bit.
Yeah, and it seems that they worked on more sections of the game. There's, in the original game, there's this section where you have to cross a lake and it turns into this boss battle. They kind of, we'll just call it God of War'd it.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of like this open world, pseudo open world section, similar to God of War Ragnarok, in which you can drive the boat around, explore the areas, figure out puzzles, do things at your own pace, and it's kind of just an area you'll be hanging out for in a little while, which, again, this all sounds great. I'm already bought in. Next week I'll be playing it, so.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that this game was going to be good. When Nick and I, did our video game fantasy league, we had 8 people in the league, I think, and this was the number 2 overall pick, after Breath of the Wild sequel. So, expectations were high, but it's always fun. It's always nice when you have these expectations and they deliver. The reviews are saying the things of, along the lines of Capcom has yet again set the bar for what a remake should and can be, and it's a seminal game. It's an important one. I remember when they started to remake Resident Evil 2 and 3, and people were like, "Oh my God, these are great! Like, holy shit!" But can they do it with 4? Like, 2 and 3 are these more linear, fixed camera angle things. So, like, the idea of them going in and not only remaking a beloved game that there are going to be people that are sensitive to things that get changed, but to change those and then have everybody overwhelmingly be high on it is exactly what you want. So, between Dead Space, between this, it's one of the greatest starts for the year for horror. It's just unfortunate that Callisto Protocol was not in not in the conversation still. But yeah,
and it was a game that I think needed a remake. Dead Space. It didn't need a remake. The game was pretty good on its own, and it still held up pretty well. But there were a lot of archaic things about Resident Evil. I mean, we're talking a game that existed before Gears of War, before Uncharted, and a lot of third-person action games that have existed since.
This literally set the model, similarly to Super Mario or Mario 64 setting the model for how 3D operates. Like, this set the model for third-person shooters. Yeah. And that over-the-shoulder angle. Before this game, that really didn't exist. Mm-hmm. So you can obviously see the impact that had. But yeah, you couldn't even move and shoot in the original, right? So like, it's just, I've tried to go back, I've tried to replay it, but it's too far. So I agree, it's needed.
Yeah. So if obviously, the demos out there, Resident Evil 2 and 3 are out there. So if you like those, why not play this? That's all gravy. So I already have it. I pre-ordered it. I don't have a GameStop story about my pre-order, other than I did get $45 again for Hogwarts. Again, this is why John and I invest in physical, because you get your money back and more. So, and it worked out perfectly too, because I traded that and Horizon, because Horizon just came to extra, and it was like the exact amount I needed. It was like $64. Because this is a $60 game.
Like you guys were like bartering.
Yeah,
like, I'll give you these 2. You give me that one.
Yeah,
all right.
It was 11 cents difference. So it was
nice.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, yeah, that works out. So expect impressions from me on Resident Evil 4, the game, at episode 42.
Nice.
So,
all right. Question for you, Nick. What does Capcom remake Resident Evil 5? or what? Or obviously they're making 9.
Yeah.
But they've had this thing for a while where they're making the mainline game and having a separate team seemingly making remakes. So, how do you manage that pipeline? Do you go to 5, or do you say Code Veronica maybe? Or what are we doing?
Well, timeline-wise, they should have done Code Veronica before 4. I could see them going to 5. I don't know, man.
I wonder.
5 doesn't need the treatment as much as
right. I feel like 5 is that cutoff, right? And 6 is nobody even wants to say 6. So like nobody's thinking about that. 7 obviously doesn't need it. So like 5 is the weird one. Like, do we remake that or not? Or like I could see them. I wonder if it would make sense to go back and remake the first one, but change it up to that Resident Evil 2 style as opposed to just like super pretty what they did with it in GameCube. I wonder if they would do that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what that secondary Capcom team, kind of does with the franchise after this, because it's been 6 years, I think, or maybe Resident Evil 2 remake came out 2019, so I guess it's been 4 years.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Because I'm pretty sure 3. I think
it is 2019.
Because I'm pretty sure 3 came out a year later, which is like we don't get that type of shit anymore.
Right.
Yeah, January 25th, 2019. So they've been doing this double trajectory thing for 4 years now. So, just something I'm curious to see. I expect a Resident Evil 9 announcement probably next year, But, or you just combine the teams and go like, look, guys, like we did what we accomplished to do. We brought everything forward. Now we're going to focus on making all our mainline games, having the third-person mode, the first-person mode, the VR mode. We need everybody on deck, to deliver the best thing we can. So, I don't know.
Yeah, could just be a new game.
Resident Evil though, man, like besides like Zelda, Mario, Final Fantasy, it's in that like Mount Rushmore of it. It's been on the scene for 30 years now, and except for 6, always just one of the best things out there. So hopefully you like spooky things, because if you don't, you're missing out.
Yeah, indeed. So that'll be out next week, 24th of March.
Cool. All right, well, similarly, it's kind of a good segue to our next topic here, Nick. So, slow news week, so just thought we'd get our brains moving a little bit, just kind of, thoughts on, we haven't talked about this franchise in a bit, so I thought we'd bring it back. I want to know what Naughty Dog's planning on doing for their next game. With the success of the show, and we know that 2 is being worked on for the show. What do you want? What do you think, and what do you want Naughty Dog to do next?
And we're talking beyond the multiplayer project.
Beyond Factions. We know Factions is being worked on. Neil Druckmann has been going on some crazy fucking tour lately because he's like, the most popular man in the world right now besides Pedro Pascal. Going on all these interviews saying things like, well, we have our next game picked out, but I'm not, able to say what it is yet. And I know all the fans want us to do part 3, but we're not ready to say yet. And so, what are your thoughts?
Again, this would be this would be an interesting question. Well, my answer would be, and I believe we did talk about this when we were ranking our studios, or in something along those lines of what we wanted them to do. And I think we both leaned heavily towards like some kind of a new franchise, right?
I think so. Yeah.
That we would want them to do something that wasn't Uncharted, it wasn't Last of Us. Well, now the Last of Us show is out, and in a similar vein to Game of Thrones, if they want to tell the story further, and if we think Ellie deserves a part 3, we want that game out before the show catches up to that point. I think. Not that I don't think the show would be good if it was its own thing and we were seeing Ellie's story beyond part 2. But I really want to play through part 3.
Yeah, it would feel kind of weird.
Yeah. So I think like my personal opinion is much higher on The Last of Us Part 3, and I don't think they would have gone through all this trouble if Part 3 was not on the table. Like we're kind of in this Last of Us renaissance, and we're probably going to hear about the multiplayer project very shortly within the next few months. And I would think it would be smart to just keep riding this wave. Get the Last of Us multiplayer project out there with Last of Us Part 2, and then some kind of tease too that the Last of Us Part 3 is coming. So
you think and you want Last of Us 3 next? That would be your.
I do now. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I think I think they have a couple ways they can go, but if they don't make The Last of Us 3 next, then I think... How do I say this? Neil being involved with the HBO show gives me complete confidence that if they decide that they're going to go past narratively where The Last of Us 2 ends, that the story itself would be intact, but it would feel weird. So they either need to make something else now, which is what I personally would want. I would love, just a less grounded, more supernatural, maybe sci-fi type thing from Naughty Dog that has those same narrative, high benchmarks that we're used to seeing from them, but set in just some crazy wackadoo universe, that can get super gritty, like a seedy underbelly of like a far off planet or something like that. Shit could be dope. But if they do that, then they have to almost give the reins of The Last of Us to HBO, which I believe, again, with these crazy amount of interviews that they've been doing, they said that is something they've talked about, is like, hey, basically the stewardship of this series is kind of moving from Naughty Dog to HBO. If they determine that the show is almost more valuable than continuing it in the game. But and then they could maybe come back and they could say, okay, well, now we're making the game for the show that we did. I don't know how fans would feel about that, but I think that could be a viable solution. But I think they're going to make The Last of Us 3 next. I think that is what they're doing. They just don't want to say it yet. But I personally would just like to see something else from them.
I just had this thought, though, since we don't know what The Last of Us Factions is. Is it just a simple multiplayer mode that will be bundled with Last of Us Part 2 for PS5?
Nope.
Or is it some kind of persistent season pass or battle pass, our favorite live service, our favorite term from the last few weeks? If it's one of those games, that could definitely hurt the chance that a Part 3 is coming.
You want to know what I think Factions is?
I think I've talked about it before.
But I'm more confident than ever, because there was a specific verbiage that they had when they were talking about Factions last, is they said that you and a friend can play through the game. They didn't say friends, they said you and a friend, which is weird. They are very specific when they put out this PR shit. So to me, it sounds like it's going to be a co-op focused narrative adventure that you and one other person can go through, that's going to give you more texture to the world, that doesn't have anything really to do with Joel and Ellie,
right? With
the multiplayer suite attached to it. And I think that's gonna be kind of the package. So it's gonna be a smaller narrative experience, similar to like Miles Morales' First Light, things like that in that universe. To maybe, if they do have ideas for the third game, like if there's ways to rope in a new faction, a new clan, a new characters, or whatever they need to do, they can put them in the place where they need to be, so that when Part 3 comes out in video game form or in HBO form, they kind of have that connection. And it's just been, they've been talking about it for too long, they've been discussing it for too long for it to just be a multiplayer thing. I don't think we would have gone this long if they didn't decide some way into that. I think it started off that way. I think it started off as this thing that they would just tack on and then go, oh no, okay, we have some cool ideas, or maybe this is turning into something bigger than it is. So I think it will be a full-fledged $70 experience that has that live service element, but with the narrative core there as well.
Because it's been 3 years since Last of Us Part 2 coming up here in a few months, and you would think that this project has been going on and as long as that's been around and before. So
they have said that expect to hear big news about it this year. So, very vague, but
Again, sometime between now and June, there will be a Sony press conference, and this will for sure be there in some form. Who knows how much information we'll get, but it'll be there.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Can we make a pact that we cannot talk about Naughty Dog or The Last of Us until there is some kind of news for a while?
No. Yeah, we can make a
pact.
It's
like Last of Us became the new God of War when you bring it up.
Not for you, but for the audience, yes. As long as I'm clear, it's not for you.
All right, so I just put it to rest. I feel like as a show,
there's no way
it's been.
There's gonna be some news. It's gonna come out next week, man.
Well, then it's fine. But
that's fair.
I'm done speculating on Naughty Dog.
So we're not gonna have a top 10 list of favorite Naughty Dog characters next week.
No.
Joel, Ellie, Nathan, Joel, Ellie. Rat King.
Yeah. yeah, he's my fave.
Yep. So nope. On to part 4, Nicholas.
All right. So next up, I wanted to talk about our favorite video game endings this time. Last week we talked about our favorite video game openings, and since we did that, and we had considered one of the greatest video game endings in The Last of Us, and that's all I'm going to mention it.
Because that is the correct answer to this.
Yeah, it is widely considered the number 1 best ending of all time, and we just saw it in TV form. So it doesn't have to be set in stone. It's been a busy week. I know we came up with these answers pretty on the fly, but I wanted to just talk about a few of our favorites. Some of our favorite video game endings that we experienced, and I'll just go first, and I won't talk about what happens. It's just The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, I didn't even that never even entered my brain for this. I was thinking about the first one so much.
And yeah, because it's very memorable. It still sticks to me to this day. I remember I had to talk to John again. Last of Us Part 2 was a game that came out when John and I first met, and I had to talk to him the next day and just told him how exhausted I was after experiencing it. And again, it still sticks to my day, where you could probably ask me what happened at the end of Control or Jedi Fallen Order or these games, and I'll be like, oh, man, what did happen? Let me think. Yeah. But if you go Last of Us Part 2, I'm like, oh, I know what the fuck happened at the end of that game. It's going to be, it's the most memorable ending in most recent years for me. So,
yeah, no, that's a good answer. So for me, because I always have to have 19 answers to these kind of questions, just a couple shout outs real quick before I want to talk about one in depth. And I've realized that these lists just turn out to be, hey, these are my favorite games, because of course Portal 2, it was in my best openings but also best endings, because you get to shoot a portal at the moon and then go to the it's funny and cool and all that stuff roped into one. Portal 2 is great. The ending to Shadow of the Colossus is classic. And it's you kind of can sense it coming, but you don't want to believe it until it does. And so we probably should have said before this, slight spoilers if you hear us mention a game, and you care. I don't know.
Hold your ears.
Maybe put it on mute real quick. But when you kind of find out that at the end of that game that you are in fact the bad guy is pretty memorable. Journey, it's just kind of this emotional thing where you're just going through, and I think it's meant to represent heaven, right? Ascending to kind of the afterlife and things like that. So just kind of a memorable thing. I do definitely remember with the music picking up and everything like that. Hades, one of the greatest games of all time. I love it so much. But when you finally get to that true ending and you get to your dad and you're ready to fight him for the 10th time, and he goes, nah, I'm just going to step aside, and then you're allowed to finally bring your mother into the underworld is super great. But the game that I want to talk about, and it's no surprise to Nick, it's probably no surprise to anybody else who kind of knows my taste at this point, but it's Nier Automata. It's rare that a game has stuck with me like this one has, and I can't say one specific thing that elevates this game to the level that I hold it at, which is in top 5 all-time easy. And it really shouldn't be, because at its core it is kind of just basic combat, some fast movement, things like that. But the way that Yoko Taro, the director of this game, structured the narrative to have these multiple endings that you kind of experience different sides of the story, and then they end up kind of fusing into this culmination with the ending E is what it's called, is the true ending of the game. But you eventually get to this point where the main crux of the story is it's the humans have left Earth. They've gone to this ship that's orbiting the Earth to basically wait for the androids to beat the machines on the planet so they can return to the planet. So these androids, that look like humans, are fighting these machines endlessly for 11,000 years. And you kind of get to the end of the game, and again, major spoilers here, so if you want to play this game, please don't listen, where you realize that humanity is gone. They've been gone for thousands and thousands of years. You, as an android player 2B, has been sacrificing yourself over and over and over again, because you do, these androids, it does this whole existential thing, what is a person? Am I a human, or I have consciousness? Blah blah blah. That whole thing that's played out to infinity, but you get to this point where you're like, okay, I can basically sacrifice myself, and they do a clever way of like, you sacrifice your save file, where like you basically are kind of making this decision where you go, I'm going to sacrifice everything I've built up to this point, all the hard work I've played the game with, all the trophies I've earned, everything. I'm going to sacrifice my save file to help enhance the future people who play this game, and like when you do it, it's kind of a weirdly emotional because you're this text is coming up. You're like, do you want to sacrifice yourself? Yeah. And like this beautiful music is playing in the background. Are you sure? Yeah. Are you really like, do you know like this is going to be the end of you? And like, yes, I want to do it for the betterment of humanity. And you do this thing while this is all going on. You're like this little kind of triangle that's like a bullet hell thing, and you're fighting the credits, and the credits are coming down, you're shooting them, the words are exploding, and when you finally get to the point where it's like, okay, do you want to enlist the help of humanity to help you get to the end after you've agreed to sacrifice yourself? And this like weird chibi music kind of pops in where like everything you've been listening to so far gets this like, it kind of gets amplified, like you can hear all these voices kind of coming around you, and then like your little one tiny ship gets encircled by a bunch of other ships, and like kind of represents obviously everybody coming to your aid, and like you get through the fight and you finally get to the end, and like you wipe your save file, you cannot go back to it, and that's it. And it's so impactful and so memorable that I think, besides like the music, which it's probably my favorite soundtrack of any game ever, I think the game lands for me so well because of that ending. And I'm very sad. It's also one of those things. I'm very sad I can't go experience it again. Like that's one of the true, hallmarks of like something that you really really enjoy. Is like fuck. Like, the best I can hope for is a Nier Automata 2, but I don't know how you can, like if Yoko Taro figures out a way to continue that story, because it kind of ends in a pretty final way. But to reach those highs again, I would be a very happy boy. But.
Yeah, it is very weird when ending. It's a true sign of a really good, not weird. A true sign of a good ending is when it just permeates all through gaming. Like I heard about this, I didn't play the game, but I knew about it and heard about it, and just what an experience it was. And as you just heard, like, I don't think there's any other video game that ends like that.
No.
I don't think you consider, there's a lot of endings that are shocking or traumatic, or there's a big twist. You're the bad guy, all those kind of things. But, that's
So yeah, to fuck with you on this weird meta level, like it's that whole game is meta and weird, right? But 26 different endings and all that kind of nonsense, but it's a very special one.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Am I able to talk about the ending to Red Dead Redemption with you?
Yes. Oh yeah, I don't care.
Do you know what happens?
No.
Okay.
I know John Marston kills a bunch of people, goes back, spends time with his family, and then somebody else shows back up or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
is that all right? Let's move on. No, go ahead. Yeah.
What I liked about Red Dead Redemption's ending, and I guess I can save you from the spoil.
No, please, Nick, it's fine. It's a 15-year-old game. If it gets remastered, I might do it. But you also know I feel about Rockstar games, so right. Go for it.
All right. So very few games do this as well, similar to Nier Automata, is where when you in this game you're John Marston. It's the Wild West. You're tasked with hunting down the members of your old gang. And as you do that and you complete that, you beat the quote-unquote final boss, you beat the final member of your gang, you kind of...
Is it Micah?
No.
Okay. All right, sorry.
No. Micah dies in Red Dead 2.
Oh, well, see, this is how much I care.
After you've done that, most games it's over. That's the end of the story. But what Red Dead does great is like the whole game you're doing this because you want to get back to your family. You're kind of being blackmailed by the FBI to do this, by marshals.
The Pinkertons?
Yeah, the Pinkertons.
Sorry, I love I don't know, like the Pinkertons have always been like a cool group to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So you finally get to go back to your family, and what happens next is kind of this like moment of catharsis. It's like there's no big gun battles. There's no crazy shootouts. You're not robbing like caravans or anything like that. You're just being a dad and existing in a family life. You're herding your your animals. You're
Is Joel on a sheep farm?
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Yeah, Joel on a sheep farm? Nice.
You're maintaining your farm. You're spending time with your son. Taking care of your wife, and it's like this like peaceful, like happy ending. It's like, wow, this is kind of. Video games just don't do this. They don't just let you relax and exist in this world. And again, like any Rockstar game, that world is so perfectly fine-tuned and beautiful.
I mean, especially in 2008. Like, that was like prime time where it's like action, blah, blah, blah. And like, before the age of walking sims and things like that where you really have slower experiences. So, yeah, especially in that age.
And not shocking because as other characters have teased, as the Pinkertons, once they found everyone... it's their job to catch people, and when there's nobody else to catch, they're going to turn on you and try and catch you. And sure enough, they do. And as you get your family to safety, you tell them to move on. And in Red Dead is this kind of bullet time mode, right? Time slows down. You hold your cursor over a bunch of dudes. Time resumes, and bam, 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 they're all dead, right? So you push open this barn door, and there's probably like 20 Pinkertons all there. And you obviously it's not going to happen, but you highlight as many as you can. You do that, you shoot them, but they get the better of you. They kill you.
Butch Cassidy.
Yeah.
Butch Cassidy you, huh? Okay.
Yeah. And then in the turn of events, the game isn't over.
Oh.
You play as John Marston's son, and then you go on a revenge little outing to kill the Pinkerton that betrayed your dad.
That's pretty
so
dope.
you get a final shootout with him at the end.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah. It is pretty badass. Like,
okay.
Man.
Yeah, that must have been just a pretty good range of emotions where you're like, oh, I did it. Oh, God, they're back. Oh, I'm fine. Oh, God, they killed me. Oh, I'm their son. Oh, okay, I got it. It's just like,
Yeah.
But
and similar to Red Dead Redemption 2, when like there's just certain periods in that game where you wish you could just stay forever. And I think like the family life with John Marston was like just a moment in time. It's like, man, I wish I didn't keep playing these missions because I just wanted to exist here. I didn't want the unhappy ending to come so fast.
And that's kind of what happens at the end of the 2 also,
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wonder if they got feedback from people that like, yeah, this ending was so killer that they like it almost seems like they tried to do that again.
Yeah,
I'm speaking from a place of ignorance. I never played 2, but
yeah,
all I know is that people said like, I don't really care for the end because it just kept going on and on and on.
Yeah, that game's too long, and yeah, it gets kind of really depressing and introduces new characters at the end that don't work as well.
Yeah.
But no, Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 are just some of the finest games out there, and incredible that Rockstar put all their effort into a Western and then to have the writing be so good and end so well.
Yeah.
Sticks with you.
Cool. Got any others? Any other honorable?
Oh,
mentions?
you're done?
Yeah, I just did my 5. Sorry, maybe I should have discussed the format, but it was just the 4 honorable mentions I really just want to talk about here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, another one that instantly came to mind because it's very memorable was BioShock Infinite. This game kind of deals with Elizabeth, who's able to transport through other dimensions. I know it's not a great term now, but like the multiverse.
Well, to me at least.
And this kind of ends in a great reveal of a multiverse, that there's always a lighthouse. There's always, a guy going down to rescue, and it has a kind of a dark ending because you're realizing that.
Did she drown you?
Yes. Yes. You realize that you are the bad guy and the good guy. But it's depending on what happens after your baptism. If you accept your baptism, you become Comstock, the bad guy. But if you reject it, you become the good guy. And so, in the ending, all the different versions of Elizabeth, they all look different. Drown you at your baptism to prevent just you from existing at all.
Yeah, no, that's cool. BioShock is high on the list of games I wish I had time to go back and play through again. Like. Mm-hmm. I've only ever played 1 and 3, but narratively, those always come up on the list of everything. Yeah. Endings, beginnings,
DLC.
Whatever.
Yeah, the DLC is also considered very well. So
I'd love to go back and play those, but hopefully we get a new one here soon. And I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised if BioShock is one of those next franchises that starts getting some remake treatments.
Yeah, and BioShock 4 has been rumored for quite a while, so...
Yeah, and we get Judas coming up, which is the Ken Levine game, who formulated all these ideas in the first place, so, yeah.
All right.
Could be looking at a nice little BioShock revival here soon.
All right, well, I'm excited for the next part, John has touched a video game.
I did. So, not going to be any in-depth discussions here. I didn't beat anything. I did.
Weep?
I did beat something. I did beat something.
Did you weep when you grabbed your controller and you're like, it's happening. It's happening.
It was honestly a little weird. Like the moment, I told you and you got kind of mad at me. It's like the moment my wife went over to her mother's and took the kids with her. And so I was like, yeah, I got a couple hours. What's the first thing I do? I clean my basement. Because I don't know, it just felt wrong in the moment to be like, oh, I can settle. And so cleaned the basement, got myself nice and comfy, cozy, and I got about 2 hours into it. But yeah, it felt good, man, because I was able to finish Norco, which...
What happens? Tell me.
I don't know. I don't know what happens. I was talking to my friend Will a little bit about it the other day, and we were discussing just kind of the events of the game. And the events, it's a very interesting game because I love a lot of aspects of it, but I just wish I could sit down and talk to the creator or somebody that's able to efficiently guide me through that story, because the pixel art is some of the best I've ever seen. I love the setting. I love the music. The characters were weird and goofy and sometimes funny and sometimes disturbing. It checked a lot of boxes. But for a game that doesn't have gameplay, really, you can click on things. But in a game that, the main thing dragging you through is this story, and it had a lot of cool story beats, right? Your mother has this weird homeless man telling her that she's related to Jesus Christ. And you're like, well, okay. And then when you get to the end, and, it seems like just a lot of things flew over my head, and I really didn't think I was going to have that happen to me, because I did make it a point playing this game. Every single time I went to a new screen, the very first thing I did, hit triangle so I can see what are all the things I need to hit. I'm going to hit them all. I'm going to read them all, and I thought that by the end of it, I would have been able to leave that and have a nice discussion with you or somebody on what happened, and between Super Duck and Pawpaw and the Garretts and the oil company, which seemed to be the centerpiece of everything, and the shields, and we're introducing the founder and his daughter who kind of ran the company in the ground. Kind of seemed like that was going to be the centerpiece, but it really wasn't. It was more just kind of like a manifestation of an antagonist in oil refinery form, and it's just it felt like there was a lot of things moving at once, but they never slammed together for me. But yeah. I still think it was worth my $8 easily, and I'm happy I played it. So, if you're into weird things, I would still say check it out, but make sure you are into weird things, and make sure you're into a game where you're literally just clicking buttons. It was a good chill game for me. It was a good game to put on in very specific situations. Sure. But also every moment I was playing, I was kind of I want to play something. I want to play something, not right. I don't want to just hit click buttons.
Right.
So that's Norco. I don't know. I was higher on it in the beginning. Kind of fell off a little bit, but still cool.
I hear it.
Now this game, again, we talked about it on the show. I'm bringing this game not really to discuss anything other than I really wanted to plea people out there to give this game the time of day and evaluate it to make sure that it's something you wouldn't like, because if it is something you like, it's fucking awesome, as Nick has said many times, and it's fixed now, and you can play it and not worry about wiping your save. That's Neon White, Nick's indie game of the year last year. It's just I've gotten back into the swing of things. We kind of all, I think, have games where you play it for a couple hours, you really dig it, it gets put down for one reason or another, you pick it back up, you kind of forgot how to fine-tune movements and things work, and so you kind of get back into it again. And I pushed my way through to, I think I'm on mission 6 now, which is of 12, and there's usually 10 little levels in those missions, and yeah, it's just such an addicting loop, and the movement is so good. The card-based movement system that they put in here, the level design is absolutely spectacular. The amount of times that I've went into a level and just tried to brute force my way into an ace and get the ace, and then I look at it again, I'm like, there's a fucking shortcut right there. And then I do the shortcut, I shave off 6 seconds of time, and it feels so good to do that. And sometimes you find those shortcuts organically, sometimes you're really looking for that extra half a second and you don't know where to find it, and you finally found it and it feels really good. Sometimes Nick beats your score by a tenth of a second, you're like, fuck that, and you go back and you want to make sure that, which I'm just kidding, that's never happened. Every time I get an ace, I leave it there so you can, next time if you ever go through, you can kind of see. But this game is just, it really is if you value gameplay experiences, Hades type experiences, Returnal type experiences, it's very, 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 very addicting. And but I will say, the one caveat to that is you have to be in the mood for it. It is a game that if you're just like kind of tired after work, if you have like 20 minutes to play games, it might not be the best game to play because it requires a lot of you. Like when you're in the thick of it and you're in that flow zone, you are doing insane things. You're flying this way, you're jumping here, you're shooting that way, you're going over here, and you do everything right, and you're like, I'm still off. What the fuck? But I want to bring that game.
How dare you?
No, I know.
Do not besmirch this game.
Music is great, but just an all-around great experience. And I think it's probably getting to that point where the people who are going to buy it have bought it, so I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing this game get on some little sales. And I think it's $25 full price, so you're going to see it at the $20 price point, the $15 price point. It's definitely worth full price. But either way, story's kind of weird. I don't know. The story's fine. It's just weird angel devil bullshit. But yeah, so super, super dope. And then lastly here, the game that never gets beaten by me, Elden Ring. just to touch base, I've been able to get back into that. I even got to play a little bit about an hour ago. Nick walked me through some Caelid experiences, which was nice. So fresh in my mind. But no, nothing really new to say besides that. I love that I took the time to formulate builds, because I think, at least at this point in my life, there's no easy mode in this game. There's no way to get through it any quicker. But I feel like by finding this nice build with the Moonveil Katana that I found, it's really made some of the harder bosses more manageable. Which, I don't know. If you want to throw away some of my From Software credentials, I guess you could do that. But I just don't have the time and patience anymore to lose to a boss 20 times. So to find this new build that's kind of been able to let me get through some sections a little bit quicker, a little bit easier, explore more of the world, because that's where this game truly does shine, as everybody knows at this point. It's all about the exploration. It's been great, and I really feel like it's one of those situations too where I've been playing it piecemeal for so long that I probably am way further than I thought I was. I still do have to fight, I believe there's 5 Elden Lords, which hold the pieces to the ring to get to I think I've gotten 3 of them. So, that's what I intend to, Neon White kind of derailed me. I wasn't really expecting to get re-addicted to it. So it's hard to put that down, but Elden Ring it's in the crosshairs. I honestly do not want to touch Resident Evil 4 Remake until I get that game done. So we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, that'll be until you come in and you go, yeah, I beat it this weekend because it was so good, and here it is. You can play it and then give it back to me when you want. So, that'll be a different story when I have it in front of my face. But
I'm assuming so. Your best case is you got to beat games by June, because that's when other new games come out. Is that Is your plan to be done with Elden Ring by then?
Talking about Final Fantasy and Diablo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
The look of defeat in his eyes as he contemplates. Because have 3 months to be game.
It's weird, but it's almost like Elden Ring fits in the comfy land, the comfy territory, where it's I never lose my muscle memory for it, because I've played every From Software game since Demon's Souls. So going into it almost does feel like this, I do have a little bit. I can just play, and maybe it's not the right way to play it, but it's like this game where I don't ever have that urge, I gotta get through it, because I don't know, because I don't want to lose the muscle memory. I don't want to lose what I'm doing. The narrative is so loose and the gameplay is so familiar that it just never feels like a burden in that way. But I would love to have it beaten by June. I would love to have it beaten, if I could, go over to your house for a week and tell my wife I have to go on a work trip, maybe, I could probably have it beaten in a week. But, it's I'm trying not to rush through it, because I do, at the end of the day, I've played too many video games in my life to really have this is the best game of all time, this is my favorite game. I don't really have that anymore, but I can confidently say Elden Ring would be the one game that I would pick if I was on a desert island and I could only play one game for the rest of my life. So I'm trying to cherish it, savor it, enjoy it, and then if it's something I want to, and I do want to platinum it too. That is part of the part of the thing. Because it does fall in that land of like the Cuphead Platinum too, where it's like, I don't have a timeline on this, but like I can keep working towards it because like it's a cool feather to have in your cap. I'm still proud of myself for my Cuphead. Yeah, and like it's honestly not as high as you think. I think the platinum percentage on Elden Ring is something like 12%. Like it's shockingly high for a game like that. But still, I'm still mad at myself that I don't have the Bloodborne one. I would like to go back and get that. But, maybe when hopefully I got to take really good care of my fingers.
Yeah, you do.
And arthritis, so that when I, like that famous Twilight Zone episode, with the guy who finally gets his glasses and he finally gets the time, to read all the books that he wants and the world's over, and then he breaks his glasses and he can't. Like, I gotta make sure these fingers are good for when that moment comes. I can finally play these things. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. Nick, you've been playing a little something too.
Yeah. So buckle in, everybody. I'm going to talk for the next hour.
Yeah.
Because I am playing a game to be reported over 100 hours to complete, and that is the JRPG Persona 5 Royal. Now, would you rank Persona, if you were to say, like, I don't know, top 5 JRPGs? Would Persona be in there?
Not personally, but absolutely from a industry standpoint, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say it's number 1. Like at this point, like Final Fantasy is the more recognizable name, but the consistent quality level of Persona is untouchable.
Yeah.
Everything, like, we were actually talking yesterday or 2 days ago about, like, theoretically, if Grand Theft Auto 6 and Persona 6 came out the same year, which one would you draft first in the fantasy league? And it's like I would probably personally go Persona 6. They just are always a 95.
Yeah.
Which so is Grand Theft Auto in fairness, but.
Yeah, so I dipped my toes in. I'm about just a little over 10 hours in. I feel bad every time.
Every time
I talk about games.
I've put in 36 hours in the last day and a half. Yeah, which is... Yeah, keep going. Just keep talking, Nick.
Yeah, so I'm about 10 hours in. Right off the bat, again, this is it's an incredibly high reviewed game, so the praise is there. I really don't have to say a lot about it.
It's a 95 or something.
But right off the bat, it's just probably one of the best stylized games out there, from the music to the character designs to the presentation. Even just like hovering over this game and the PlayStation 5 menu is like, that art is just so good. Like, it's just incredible. The character models are not as great. Their eyes are really buggy.
Like buggy as in big?
Yeah, their eyes are really big, and it throws me off. But the quality of the voice acting, the music, the art, it's just top notch, and that's right from the get go. And also, the game is very dark.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't expecting. The story of the game is you name your character, so he doesn't really have a name, but I'll just call him Joker because that's his Phantom Thief's name. The girl is about to get raped, forced into a car, and he steps in. The guy trips and hurts himself. The guy is connected in some way, which I don't know yet, but I have some inklings in the story. And, using his connection, he gets you in trouble. He gets you a felony for assault. And he gets you expelled from your current school. So you are kind of going to a new school away from your parents. You're kind of staying with Sujiro, who decides to take you in. And
I don't know why. That guy definitely doesn't want to.
yeah. That was the funny thing is, like, everyone knows why it's not just you're expelled for like a felony. It's you tried to do the right thing and got in trouble for it. It blew back on you, and despite them knowing that you had noble intentions in the first place, just the way the teachers and the principal and Sujiro just treat you like absolute garbage, like you're just some kind of like street urchin troublemaker. Just like leave the kid alone. Like, he tried to do the right thing. Like, it's like, what did you want him to do? Just stand there while it happened? It's kind of laughable. Like, I just can't buy it. It just actually frustrates me.
Yeah, I come speaking from a place of ignorance, but I think I'm right here. I think that is very much a Japanese style,
right,
cultural thing,
right?
Where it's just kind of like, if you get caught, it really doesn't fucking matter. If you're caught, like, good luck.
Yeah. And so you got that, right off the bat, and then the game is built around evil people, like people with evil intentions, evil desires, so much so that they create what they call mind palaces, which are the dungeons of the game. And the very first guy is Kamoshida. He is a volleyball coach at the school, and he likes to physically abuse his students and sexually assault them, including blackmail them into sexual favors.
Ooh.
So, this is not ground typically video games cover.
Especially not ones that are as colorful and bright as these ones.
Yeah, that has the cheery presentation. It has some deep, dark, mature themes throughout. I'm sure I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg on those. But it's and I don't want to say it's refreshing that it's this dark, but it's just definitely, it's very adult. Mm-hmm. And I can appreciate that.
That was surprising, yeah.
Especially, for a JRPG that are typically about amnesia or, you're the savior, you're going to save the world and all that stuff. That is very tropey in a lot of JRPGs and anime.
Yeah, you might still do that.
Yeah, we'll see. But right now, it's very grounded in those very real, serious issues that affect young people. So I definitely appreciated that. I definitely appreciated the storytelling method of True Detective, in which this game is told from an interrogation. Your main character has been caught and he's being interrogated about the events that led up to his capture. So it does a good job of teasing what's coming, but also you're being interrogated, so you're being intentionally vague. And I love the transition between the both. It's just, again, it's another flirt. Yeah, it's a nice little flourish on the presentation and the storytelling. And then there is your school life, which, I said Marvel Midnight Suns had a rotation of, mission, hang out with people, do this, do that, run all over the place. Persona 5 takes that on the most extreme level. Everything you do takes time, and there is so much to do. You can't just hang out with your friends. You can watch movies, you can read books, you can study, you can train. There's a whole city to explore. There's just like all these things to do, and everyone's coming at you. Every time you have free time, you're getting IMs from people, and I only have like two party members at this point.
Hang out with me. Hang out with me.
And they're called these confidants, and not only are they people in your party, they're people in the real world. That Sujiro wants to hang out with you. Every time I walk in to go to bed, he's like, "Hey, you want to hang out with me?" And I'm like, "I don't got time, man. Like, I got exams tomorrow. I got to study." And the game is under a time limit too. Like, every day is a day in the month, and it keeps going down and down. And very early on, you get like kind of you have to beat this dungeon, this mind palace, by this date. And when do you enter it? I don't know. I got to make sure I enter it before this date. But do I enter it now? Like, do I enter it in a few days? Do I save up to buy, like, supplies and then go in there? Like, it throws so much at you in the initial volley that you're just kind of, like, choice paralysis. Like, what's the right choice? Why is knowledge, guts, proficiency, kindness, like, why do these traits matter,
Mm-hmm.
And a few things have been gated. Like, I couldn't go out with Anne unless I had a certain level of kindness. But it's throwing so much at you, and I'm sure like JRPG fans are just like, yeah, I'm eating this all up, like there's so much to do. But for me, then I'm managing. I'm getting used to the kind of flow of where I want to do what I want to do on a normal basis. But I will say, like, it's insane.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why I fell off of it. My experience with this game is I've probably played the first 10 hours as well, but then I believe it was all of that stuff that just kind of it just overwhelmed me a bit, where I don't min-max games and I don't need to see everything, but when I go through a game, like, it does bother me if I like am not doing the best thing that I could be doing or getting the best things that I could. And so, like, this idea that you have to sacrifice all these babies, right? Like you got to sacrifice your relationship with this person to enhance this, and to do like it never felt good. It always felt like I was doing the wrong thing. And with somebody who like constantly second guesses himself in real life, I just kept second guessing myself. Like, no, that's the wrong thing to do. Oh crap, I forgot. I should have read a book today. And it's like I don't. So it gets like I liked a lot of the style and presentation. The palaces were cool.
Yeah.
The combat I dug, but it's a ton. But I did watch the 67-hour YouTube video story playthrough. So I do, and this is why I wanted you to play the game so much, because I know you value narrative and you value groups of people that have tight connections, and that's what this game is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not even getting into the fact that what if it's raining outside? Oh, these other abilities are enhanced. Like it's good to study during rain because you can be more focused and all these.
Just
kind
wait
of
till
things.
you got the batting cages and the go karts, the movie theater, and the different cities, and
Yep,
the
I
different
got movie
places you
theater.
can go. And
Yeah.
it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Did you get the penis monster persona yet?
No, we'll get into the personas, but yes, a lot of them are very, very suggestive. They're very.
Have you seen the penis one?
No.
Oh boy, it's not even like it's a penis.
But again, it's a lot, but it's fun. Like the whole presentation really enhances it, so I am having fun with that. But so. We'll get into the other major thing that they throw on you is personas, and they're. I'm seeing the penis monster.
It's a
he
penis.
is a penis.
He is a penis.
Is the persona system, which is it's basically Pokemon.
Yeah.
There are I don't know how many personas in this game, but they're basically Pokemon. You can basically inherit their skills. You can combine them to create new ones. It's this whole other system that I really don't understand all that well, other than I want a higher level persona as I level up.
Yep.
You kind of want it to match your current level. So I just combine things to make that, so that I can have, if I'm level 12 now, I make sure I have a level 12 persona equipped.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the personas, the idea is you just want to make sure that you have a well-rounded team, because the main crux of the combat is weaknesses, right?
Yes.
So if you have a weakness, if somebody's weak to fire, and you hit them with a fire attack, it literally just knocks them down. They can't do anything until they get back up. And if you can get every one of the enemies down, you can do something called an all-out attack, which is basically a super attack. So when I was playing it, I would always just, I got this guy, An can do ice. I got my guy who's, he's more well-rounded. He's the only one that can, funnel through his different personas. The other characters have one persona, right? They're not able to or switch through. So that's all I ever did. And then, they're really good character designs too. So you kind of sometimes find one that you just really like the way they look. Yeah, no,
it's been entertaining every time you see a new one. And they're all very dark. The ones I've seen so far, like they're just weird creatures or succubuses or devils with giant horns for penises and
horns for penises.
Yeah, it's pretty entertaining. But even like I said, even the complexity goes into the combat, because not only is it the personas, there's all this. Yeah, if you hit a person with a weakness, you get to attack again, but then you can pass the baton to another character, and then they do more attacks. And then if they exploit a weakness, they can pass the baton again, and that person can use a skill for free. Like it's this. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And it just adds to that complexity of the overall game. And I can't even imagine, as my party gets larger and more systems, like you mentioned, are added. It might be a lot, but I'm taking it all in stride so far.
The combat itself will stay, it maintains itself pretty well. It's all the extra outside of the dungeon stuff. What do you think about the Velvet Room in Igor? Like I always kind of dug just that area. Like it's just kind of cool.
It makes no sense from storytelling perspective. It's kind of like a prison that you go to in the game. It's called the Velvet Room, and this is where you can kind of manipulate personas. You can see like a Pokédex of all the personas. This is where you combine them. And it's, again, this guy speaks very vague about how important you are.
I love his voice.
This is probably the most anime section of the game. And he has 2 young girl security guards with hard eye patches on each eye.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. Like, I don't know what his whole role in it is, but
you gonna find out.
yeah, but we'll see. I'm just gonna probably ride this train. It'll probably be, my side game. As games come out, I'll probably put it down for Resident Evil 4, continue to play it. If I still have more to play by Star Wars Survivor, put it down again, and just kind of push through it. But so far I can see why it's considered one of the greatest JRPGs out there. It's great.
Yep, I think there's 8 total palaces. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So if you're on 2, you got some ways to go.
Yeah.
But
it's an interesting game for sure. It's pretty cool and incredible writing, which, like I said, you really don't usually see in JRPGs very much.
Yeah. I don't know how you make a game like this. Like the Persona team is as you asked,
a wall of sticky notes.
First question you ask, man. I mean, is there a JRPG series that's highly regarded? There's a reason for that. So, yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm burping as I'm trying to talk. So I'm so emotional.
I love this game so much.
Yeah, good man, good. So
I'll probably be bringing the game up again.
Well, and if you absolutely love it, where they just re-put. I'm just saying, if you love it, and you're like, I want, similar to Danganronpa, but. It's you have to put some thought and time and thinking into it. Be like, where do I fit this in? But it's there.
Right.
We got 3 and 4 on PS5 as well, so plenty of Persona to go around.
Yeah, it's very cool. This franchise is kind of on a renaissance right now. Like, seems to be. Yeah.
And I like the fun fact about Persona 2 that it's in it of itself as a spin-off, which a lot of people don't know.
Right.
That's from the Shin Megami Tensei series. Kind of this little spin-off thing that got more popular than the
and then this game has spin-offs like Strikers and
Dancing All Night, Ultimax.
Yep.
All these weird. There's a fighting game, a rhythm game, a Muso game. Yeah, they've got a lot of different genres.
So I don't know if this will bleed me into those games, but
I would be surprised.
I'll focus on this first.
If you do want to play you're going to need a year off of it. You're not going to be like, oh, next one.
Right.
But
all right, so that is 6 things. We did it. And John, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, it's a new segment.
Okay.
When are we playing Exo Primal? When are you going to devote your 6 hours a month to this upcoming weekend to play some Exo Primal?
Since I got the text from my wife that she wants to have a snack night tonight, it's probably tomorrow, man. It's probably tomorrow, and I can't give you an hour or a time because it's probably going to have to be after let's do tentatively tomorrow at 9 p.m. How's that sound? How's that sound? All right.
You heard it, folks.
I will I will lightly pencil it in.
If on next podcast, John has not played Exo Primal, he has let myself and the listeners down.
I'm fine letting you down. I will not let the listeners down. So,
come on, all I ask is maybe an hour, so we can just be like if we like it or not.
We're gonna, like you said, I think yesterday, we'll know within an hour. But, but and then next week we got the Diablo beta, hopefully. So
I'll want more time.
Same.
Because I hear there are some bonuses if you can get the max level in the beta.
Oh really? Yeah. I just want to eat it up.
Yep.
Unlike I didn't play the Resident Evil 4 demo because I want to experience that just in one fell swoop.
You already know.
I already know, but Diablo 4 is you can give me the first full world of that. I don't give a shit. Whatever, I'll go back. Those games aren't anything more than just dopamine.
Right.
So, yeah.
So other than Exo Primal, Chia will be out next week. So if it reviews well, maybe I'll take a look and have some impressions. Yeah. Is there anything else to tease?
No, everybody should go to YouTube and search Natu.
Oh gosh.
It won the Oscar for Best Original Song, and it's got some of the best Indian dancing I've ever seen in my life. It's incredible. So no, go watch that. But other than that,
okay.
That's all I have time for. I have time for 4-minute videos in my life.
Good. At least you got something.
Yep.
You got Natu in your life.
Yep.
All right, so that's it. John, what song are we leaving them on?
It's called Not To. No, this is from the greatest ending of all time, Nier Automata. Since Nick, kind of made it known the other week that I haven't picked any of these songs yet, so we've only got one.
Go.
So you guys are about to probably get a lot of Nier Automata, but this one's a little more chill. It plays as soon as you kind of enter this amusement park area that has all these little tiny robots that are like throwing like fireworks in the air, and they're like, yay! It's just like weird and kind of cool. But the song is called Amusement Park. It is from Nier Automata by Keiichi Okabe.
Good choice. I know this one.
Yeah.
I played this far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Disappointing.
Yeah, this is why he doesn't care about disappointing me, because I disappointed him by not playing his favorite game of all time.
Yeah. Well, it's not a favorite game of all time, maybe, but also the fact that I bounced off of Mass Effect 2, I feel like that's probably a similar. It's probably a similar thing.
Even.
Yeah. So enjoy. It's a little chill, but check out the whole soundtrack. It's dope.
All right. So again, there is a bonus episode in the feed for all of HBO's The Last of Us, if you are curious. But other than that, we will be back next week with another 6 things. Thanks for listening, everyone. Goodbye.
Not to.
Trovata noi, Don Johan Dorian, moi trashnar jaar slehar. Prakash Tamir, Fulai Shir Galanta, Shom Shoroi Dimanda. Dith Armashan Astrach Vala Quartir. Dith Actually Yishna Gracha Feina Doiri. Dwight Ishidir